Kathy and I found each other because we share two issues. We're both dyslexic, and we both struggle with overeating to soothe our emotions. 10 to 15% of the people in the U.S. are dyslexic. And while there is a lot of research out there on the scientific side of dyslexia, we've found that the emotional side of dyslexia is limited. So today we're here to share our emotional stories with you about growing up dyslexic. Our stories are very similar. We were both diagnosed when we were 7 or 8. We both made it through high school and college. We both felt embarrassment and shame from having dyslexia. We both found meaningful work and raised wonderful families. We are not those famous dyslexics like Keira Knightley or the founder of Virgin America, Richard Branson. We are just ordinary adults with dyslexia, and we'd like to share our stories with you.
I never told anyone I had dyslexia. I was ashamed of it. I hid it from my elementary school friends, my college friends, and my work colleagues. But by hiding my dyslexia, I was hiding a part of myself. I was never fully showing up in life. I'm changing all that now. I'm sharing my story with you. When I was in 3rd grade, all of my friends, the girls in the class, during library time, would check out a tall stack of horse books and read them voraciously. Well, I wanted to be just like everyone else, so I checked out a tall stack of horse books. I'd take the first one, crack it open, but I didn't even try to read it. I pretended to read it. I would follow the black words on the white page till I got to the end of the line, and I'd do it again and again and again and again. When I thought enough time had passed, I'd turn the page. Was I turning the page too quick, too slow? Would someone find out that I was pretending? It took a lot of work to pretend. It was exhausting, and it emptied my heart. In the evenings, I'd go home and eat to soothe myself, soothe the emotions. I'd have a snack in the kitchen, and I'd feel better for a short time. Then I'd gather more food from the cupboards and bring it upstairs to my room, and I'd eat in secret. That feeling of shame burned in my heart, and I felt like I wasn't enough. I was eating to fill my heart with food, with love. Eventually, in 7th grade, I did learn to read, but I still wasn't on grade level, and I still had trouble with those multisyllabic words. Reading out loud was the absolute worst. I would hide from my teacher, trying not to make eye contact. Eventually, though, I'd get called on to read out loud Romeo and Juliet. And when that happened, my stomach would freeze like lead. And now that I think about it, I think it was my heart and soul that froze. My face would turn bright red and I would sweat. I would stumble through the words, skipping and guessing at words, and trying not to hear the giggles and snorts of the other students in the class. It was excruciating. When my turn was over, I thought I would be relieved, but actually I still felt embarrassed, raw, and exposed. It was as if I had a festering wound that would not heal. My mother tried to heal my wound. She'd say, "Kathy, when I read out loud to you, you remember every detail. Your comprehension is wonderful, and you're a great math student." And in the late afternoon on the field hockey field scoring goals helped heal my wound. But the next day in class, it would be ripped open when I had to read, and I would be exposed as the girl who could not read. Finally, as the years went on, I did catch up in reading, and I actually love reading now. I graduated from college and graduate school. I finally went and asked for help at the Writing Center, and I got a lot of help with my writing, and I did well. I eventually became an elementary school teacher, a reading teacher, and I was very good at getting inside the brains of the struggling readers, and I could see where they needed the help most. But that overeating issue kept rearing its ugly head, so I became an eating psychology coach. I now see my overeating as a signal that there's some emotion that needs to be felt. I now practice mindfulness and self-compassion instead of numbing with food. When I look back over the years, I realize there's many gifts that dyslexia has given me. I'm creative, intuitive, empathetic, determined, and I can think outside the box. all of those gifts that dyslexia has given me have helped me as an eating psychology coach and as an entrepreneur. That's my story. Carey, I know you had a few struggles in school. Can you share?
I sure did. 3 schools in 3 years. First grade in a public school, second grade in a private school, third grade in a school for alternative learning. Made growing up dyslexic really rough. It's hard to keep friends when you're switching schools, and I always had to hide my inability to read and my fears. For instance, in Miss Frazier's second grade class, I noticed that my friends could read out loud. I would look around the room and they could stand up and read out loud comfortably. I noticed that their handwriting was neat and pretty, and all the girls in the class appeared perfect to me. But I love books, especially when Miss Frazier would read Charlotte's Web. I was carried away in the depths of Fern's love for Wilbur. I hung on every word. I was mesmerized. Comprehension was easy. Reading was impossible. The words on the page would look like hieroglyphics and scribbles, and I would wonder what it all meant. I was also pulled out of class frequently for tutoring. The teacher would come to the door and say, "Could Carey come with me, please?" And as I gathered my things and left the classroom, the class was silent. I was mortified. I hated being singled out. But my athletic ability saved me from complete emotional devastation. I loved modern dance, and the feeling of organically moving my body to music at the end of a tough day was wonderful. I had friends in class. They thought I was funny and a bit crazy when I would do an enormous leap. Arriving home after school, I quickly learned how to soothe my emotions. A bag full of candy. I love Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, Sugar Daddies, Twinkies, Devil Dogs, and bubble gum, to name a few. But we lived in the country, so I'd ride my horse to the local country store and load up at the end of the day. When dinner came around, I felt sick to my stomach. At 13, I moved on to pot, 15 beer, and as a young adult, I started shopping. This was all to bury my fear of being found out and my feelings of inadequacy. The work world brought me new challenges. Most people thought I could read easily and write quickly. I know I'm smart, I'm naturally intuitive, and I have a unique ability to solve complex problems quickly. One day in a Board of Trustees meeting, I was asked to write goals and objectives on a whiteboard. I scribbled the words so they were difficult to read, and one director said to me, "Carey, you're missing the I in the word responsibilities." And I thought, oh no, what I? Where does it go? I guessed, wrong. I guessed again, wrong again. And then he said, "You're having a tough day, aren't you?" And I said nervously, "Oh, I can't see that well from where I'm standing." It was so mortifying. I felt dumb, and I was frustrated with myself. The challenges of dyslexia have given me grit, perseverance, and strength to move forward. I work very hard to accomplish my tasks, as most dyslexics do. For example, long-term projects become longer. The burdensome task of writing, rewriting, correcting grammar and spelling still sticks with me. As a young student, I would have given up anything not to be dyslexic. But as an adult, I've learned to embrace the struggles of dyslexia and the gifts that come with it. I'm learning disabled in a world filled with language at every turn. I still carry the need to soothe myself. I strive towards transformation of self-love rather than hate. I know that stuffing myself with sweets and shopping does not cure dyslexia. Kathy and I have accepted our dyslexia, and most of the time we embrace it.
For you parents who have children who have dyslexia, we wanted to share our stories with you to show you that your children will come through. They may feel embarrassment, frustration, and sadness, but these are normal feelings and it's okay. These are some suggestions we have to share with you. Let them talk about how exhausting not being able to read or spell is. Have them share with you the hardest parts of their school day. The part where they feel different and how the other kids just don't understand. Ask them if they have ever tried to hide the fact that they struggle with reading or spelling. If you are an adult with dyslexia, share your story. When we shine a light on our darkness, healing takes place. Brene Brown says, "Shame hates it when we reach out and tell our story. Shame can't survive being shared." The very act of sharing our stories has shined a light on our darkness and brings us healing. By being honest and sharing all of ourselves, we can show up more fully and give our gifts to the world.